To say that I'm disappointed with the new Lion King remake is really an understatement. It's just so bad for a lot of reasons. But don't worry, don't leave this video. I'm not just going to be ranting about why I don't like the new Lion King from what I've seen from the trailers and stuff and all of that. I'm going to be putting that aside and I'm going to be just focusing on the colour because I feel like that's a really important part of the original that they didn't transition over to the new film. We as humans naturally have an emotional connection to colours, and certain colours mean certain things to us. Yes, it differs from culture to culture a bit, but for the most part, we're going to see red and think danger, and we're going to see yellow and think happiness and sunshine, which is why it can drastically change the meaning of a piece and why it is so important to think about colour when you make films. Firstly, the music does have an emotional impact, so to kind of play along, it is good to just watch the scenes without the music anyway, because, you know, putting music in will make you feel a certain way. And also because I don't want to get copyright, so yeah, the music wouldn't have been in anyway. So right at the beginning, you get lots of red and yellow. This red and yellow is going to make you feel anticipation and feel the warmth a bit of the sun. With the anticipation being great because, I mean, it's the start of the film, you want the audience to feel anticipation for what's coming next. And you also want the audience to feel serenity and just feel happiness from the film. And then we're pushed into a blue and green scene, and green signifies nature, it signifies health. So we know that we're going into a healthy land. Everything's, you know, not dying out as it is later on in the film. And then comes the blue, which again, as with the yellow, helps to push serenity, and it also pushes peace and shows that we're in peaceful lands. And this is an example of complementary colours. You probably know about complementary colours. They're the ones that are the most widely used in film, especially blue and orange. You see that all over the place in films. Basically, they're colours on the opposite side of the colour wheel that work really well together. And there's more groups I'm going to be going into, but they're the most common, and you see a lot of blue and orange in the Circle of Life too. Something that you don't really see too much of in the live action version. I don't know what else to call it, in the new version. And if we skip forward a bit to this scene, we can see another example of a colour scheme. So yes, there's purple and brown, which do help with tranquility and the feeling of warmth from the brown. But we're also seeing the Triatic colour scheme come into play. So this is basically when all of the colours are equal distance from each other on the colour wheel. That's also going to give you a really nice look, although it is a lot harder to pull off than the complementary colours. And this gives a very playful and surreal look, hence its use in animation a lot. And they also use saturation in the scene to their advantage too, which is another way of using colour to kind of help draw eyes to a certain point. So basically, people are going to look at areas that are saturated. If you just think about where you look as soon as you see the scene, you're going to look at the top part because that's where they want you to look. The bottom part is grey, and yes, there's colours there, but it's just not saturated, and it's in a shadow. You are focusing at the top where Zazu's flying in. And as for why the colours worked really well in this scene, they're using yet another colour scheme, or should I say two colour schemes, which it goes into. So firstly, when you're here, it's using the analog colour scheme, which means that all the colours are right next to each other on the colour wheel. So in this case, the light blue, the green, and the purple are all next to each other on the colour wheel, which means that they all work really well together. But as you zoom into Mufasa and Zazu, the background is going to come into focus, and it's going to give us a double complementary colour scheme, which is basically like a complementary colour scheme, but done twice. With the light blue complementing the kind of brownish reddish mane that Mufasa's got, and the purple complementing the orange that is Simba's body, as well as the sky. All of this making the scene look really great, and also giving meaning too. So the kind of brownish reddish mane on Mufasa gives him the kind of power symbol and look that he has power, while also not being too red to look dangerous or like he's a threat or anything like that. With that lack of threat also being helped along by the fact that his body's like bright orange, which again gives the feeling of warmth, and the fact that he's not a threat. He doesn't look like a threat at all. Because in movies, unlike in live action remakes and in just real life in general, they want you to know exactly who's the villain from the look, or If they want it to be a twist villain, they'll probably make him white or something. And then if you do a quick comparison to Scar in the original version, you can see this more menacing look. If you look at Scar in the original version, not in the live action version, he basically just looks like an old lion in the live action version. But in the original version, he looks more kind of reddish than Mufasa's body. And he's got a really black mane, like it's fully black. And black obviously signifies evil and death, and the more reddish, desaturated look makes him just look more evil. Because saturation also helps in saying what's evil and what's good. Desaturated colours are going to look more kind of gritty and less happy, while saturated colours are going to look more happy and more like they're a good person, basically. And while we're talking about characters, let's go on to Zazu. So he's got blue on him in his eyelids, and that's basically supposed to help with trust. Blue kind of signifies trust, and then there's the purple on him, which signifies royalty and luxury. We can see that he's somebody that's trustworthy, and somebody who's also got something to do with luxury or royalty, which in this case he does, obviously. He's the servant to Mufasa. But in the live action version, he could actually pass for a villain. There's a lot of black and white, as well as red on his body. Obviously, the black signifies evil and death, while the white is kind of a neutral colour, which doesn't really say either way as to where the character is, whether they're good or they're evil. And it's often used for characters that switch throughout the characters or just have aspects of good and evil in them. And then there's red, which yes, can mean passion in the case of Rafiki, that I'm going to talk more about later on, but it can also mean danger, and Zazu looks pretty dangerous in this scene because there's nothing to really offset the red and the black and tell you that he isn't in fact evil. And yet, talking about Rafiki in the original, he has the same blue on him, the same trustworthiness on him. And as he walks in between the animals, we can see that the animals are very grey, and the film is basically shouting at us to not look at the animals, look at Rafiki in the scene. That's why they're desaturated and grey, because as I said beforehand, you naturally look at the saturated stuff, you don't look at the desaturated stuff. And as I said before, the red is there to signify passion. He's passionate about Pride Rock and about his role in his kind of community there. And then there's yellow, which can be seen in little baby Simba in his fur and in his eyes. And this is used to signify innocence and purity and goodness. You can also see the same yellow in the boy from Up, showing that he's innocent and he's youthful and good. And as Rafiki picks him up and moves him towards the sky, he's going to put him right up against a bright blue sky. And this is more just a case of complementary colours, just blue looks great against yellow, and it really makes him pop as the scene ends with a loud boom. And the boom obviously isn't to do with colour, but it's just awesome. It's great. So yeah, as you can see, colours in a scene have a huge impact with what's saturated and what's desaturated, and what kind of shade of colours are used, and all of that sort of stuff. It really does make a difference in the emotions that you feel with a scene. It's not just there to make it look pretty, even though that is a part of it, it's there to kind of serve a purpose. And I'm not saying that the realism isn't impressive. It is really, really impressive how far Disney have come in terms of making stuff look realistic. I mean, stuff's photorealistic nowadays. You could easily look at some things and think that that's real life. It is really impressive, but I feel like they should still stylize it a bit and add colour. Colour really does play an important role, and it only really takes looking at the behind the scenes for a film and then looking at the actual film to see that difference in emotion. So when people kind of get over the nostalgia and the music for the film, I feel like the film isn't going to really be able to stay in people's minds for a long time. They are going to gravitate back to the original because, yes, it's got the nostalgia and it's got the music, but people could get tired of that. And when they do, there's nothing really much left to basically keep their attention. They may as well just go and watch a nature documentary or just watch the original. That's out now. You can watch it today. There's no need to wait. But before you go and watch the film, Let me know what you think about this new set with the green screen in the background and stuff like that. And also let me know what you think about this video in general. And I don't know, just say hi. I haven't been on for a while. And be sure to subscribe to see more content like this. This is the sort of content that I want to be doing going into the future. I don't think I'm going to be doing movie reviews anymore at all, really. I want to do this more kind of research heavy video style. So let me know if you want to see more of that. That's what I'm going to be doing. But yeah, I still want to know your thoughts on it anyway. But yeah, I hope you all have a great day. I'll see you all in the next video, which is probably not going to be next week. It's not really going to be in a schedule for now. But just subscribe to see when it comes out and hit the bell too. But anyway, hope you all have a great day. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.